Hi, this is Richard from Pivot. We are looking to do part 2 of our T-Rex launch. So, this is our test burn. So our goal today is to burn her up. So what we're going to do is we're going to load this up with a full bag of charcoal. Now this is by far the cheapest charcoal we could find. So these are just briquettes. You don't want to actually spend a lot of money on lump charcoal or anything like that on like a vertical smoker like this. Your goal is to get heat, right? So that's where the good old cheap charcoal comes into play. So what we're going to do is we're going to load this whole bag of charcoal into the T-Rex. We're going to light it up. We're going to try to get a lot of heat going into the T-Rex so that we can overheat it. You know, obviously, like my optimal smoking temperature is 225, somewhere in that zone, 220, 225. But we want to go ahead and just try to get this thing ultra hot. Our goal in here is to see if anything is going to break or any issues when we have a ton of heat going into the product. So what we're going to do right now is load her up, light her up, and see how she runs. So, by the way, shout out to Benchmade, one of the best knives like ever. And by the way, we're not sponsored by anyone except for Pivot, right? At the end of the day. So let's go ahead and get this charcoal going. Now, when you load charcoal in something like the T-Rex, you can put patterns in here. You could do a snake pattern, you could do an L pattern, you could do a pattern to adjust how long you want your cook at what temperature. The larger the fire base you have in here, the higher the temperature is going to be. But you know, we're going to have as accessories pattern makers in here that allow you to go ahead and pour your charcoal and turn them into patterns. So right now we're just going to go in and put a very large pile in here without worrying about making a pattern, because our goal is to get a really nice high and hard cook. All right. So, we're going to go ahead and light her up. I could have used a fire starter or something like that, but this guy works pretty darn good. I think we're going to go ahead and make more tools, like little rakes and shovels that you could use to push the coals around. I think that would be a good thing to add in here. For the most part, when you light it, you know, since you want to go really low and slow, you're going to be like lighting a corner of it over here. I'm just going to light the center so that we can get this going and really just start this cook faster. And I'm going to light multiple corners to see how long we could do the burn when we really light this thing hot. But we'll do another video on different patterns that you could put in here and how to go nice low and slow, and we're going to do a timing. I'm pretty sure we could do about 20 hours on a single burn with this thing, so that'll be real interesting to find out as well. Now this thing is finding its first way out, which is basically coming through the front of this thing. Once we go in and open up this ball valve all the way and shut this thing, we're going to force that smoke to go up through the smoke chamber and out through the chimney. So let's go ahead and shut this off, let that heat up a little bit. What we're going to do now is we're going to heat up the inner compartment. Guys, that's some smoke. We're going to heat this up. But heating up, these are all brand new racks, by the way. So what we did was we sprayed some cooking oil on there to help cure these racks too. So this is a 2-in-1 thing. But what we're doing right now is heating up this inner chamber in here. Heating it up will get us the temperature in here a little bit faster, but also help us get our racks nice and cured. The racks on the T-Rex come standard as steel racks, but an option could be to upgrade your racks to stainless steel. And these are expanded metal racks. We'll have optional different racks, different rack types that we're going to be able to sell as well. But what comes standard with this are steel racks. All right. So, can you bring me some wood? We're going to throw some wood in here. This isn't really wood that we would use for smoking and cooking. This is just, we build carts and kiosks, and this is some stuff that we have in our veneer room that we're using. And I'm just going to do a little assist here. I'm going to light this wood up. As you can tell, I like lighting things on fire. Now, I've been smoking for a few years. I'm certainly no expert in smoking. I'm from New York City. I love it here in Georgia, and it's taught me many things, including the art of smoking. And so we'll be testing out a lot of cool gadgets and tools that we use all the time, and we'll do some reviews here on the channel as well. All right, we're cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this door. I'm going to go ahead and help this redirect the smoke so our smoke's coming out of the stack. Again, for those of you new at smoking, our goal is not only to manufacture a great smoker like the T-Rex, but our goal is also going to be to teach people how to smoke and how to smoke the right way, more or less a beginner's way to learn how to smoke, and how to have optimal use of a product like the T-Rex. Now, we're by no means pit masters, chefs, or anything like that. We just love the art of barbecue. We love the art of smoking. So our goal is to share our knowledge back to you, and then hopefully you guys can share what you guys are doing with us as well. So in the T-Rex, the anatomy of the T-Rex, we are a vertical reverse flow smoker. So the smoke is coming out of the firebox, the fire chamber here. It's going up the back of the T-Rex, and it's coming and entering into the top of the smoke chamber, going all the way to the bottom. And then there's two chutes that help exhaust the smoke back out. And then there's an expansion chamber up on top. That expansion chamber helps, as almost like a vacuum effect, pull the smoke and pull it back out the chimney. So this is the only way air is coming into the firebox. So it allows you to have really good control over air, and then you can do some air assist devices like a Barbecue Guru or something like that. They have this is a 2-inch ball valve. They have an adapter for a 2-inch ball valve. You plug that in, you put your probes inside the cabinet, you can plug your probes into your various meats, and it will help you keep your smoker at temperature by having that fan turn on and off and be able to push more air into it as it's needed. So we're smoking pretty good. I could say one thing is we probably need to work a little bit more on our gasket seals. So this really should be very, very airtight, and we shouldn't have any leakage coming through here. So I think we have a little bit of work to do on our gasket sealing around here. We're using these Tadpo seals. They work pretty good. probably the one part of the smoker I didn't like as much, so I think we're going to replace those and work on this seal better, because we shouldn't really have any smoke coming out of this area here. I'm going to go ahead so we don't smoke out the building. I'm going to close this. It's been raining a lot here in Georgia this week. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I tell you what, this COVID thing has made us all a little stir crazy at home. So something like being able to smoke and being able to do a big cookout would be phenomenal for it. But because it's been rainy here as well, we decided to do it sort of under this cover a little bit, just in case it starts to pour today. All right. Ooh, that's some smoke. All right, so the charcoal's doing good. Now I'm gonna actually burn, so I wanna get this thing really nice and hot. I'm gonna go ahead and light up another corner of this charcoal. Now the T-Rex, the other feature we have on this thing is we're really well, let's put this in here. There we go. We're extremely well insulated. We have 3 inches of insulation in the firebox area. That's top, bottom, sides, all around, even the door. Our goal, and I'm going to have a temperature gun out here shortly, our goal is to check temperature to make sure that these sides are not getting hot at all. But also, when you're smoking in lots of different temperatures, having a fully insulated box is awesome, because you'll be able to maintain temperature, hold temperature, get to temperature a lot faster, especially in those colder climates. So I'm going to grab the heat gun. I'm going to take a couple of heat readings on where we are ambient-wise, and then see how we do during this cook. Obviously, we're still pretty low. We're not even at 100 degrees inside the chamber yet. So as this thing starts to heat up, we'll start to do more readings. All right, guys. So we have our nifty Milwaukee temperature sensor here. Again, plug out to Milwaukee. They make awesome tools. So we're going to go ahead and test the temperature. So we're just going to go ambient. We're going to go around the door. So right now we are at 85. So 85.1 degrees up on the door on the bottom. Okay, we're going to hit our door on top. Oh, interesting. We are hotter on top. We are 88 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and check the sides. 89 degrees. $92 degrees. I'm going to check the back. $91 degrees. These should be relatively the same. So we are 84 degrees. I think it has to do with the sun maybe hitting that side a little bit. Interesting. We are at 82 degrees on the firebox. Let me check the back real quick, the back bottom. Back bottom. All right, 83 degrees. And then the top. We are 90 degrees. And then let's check the very bottom. Okay, 82 degrees. So let's just call that ambient. We just started the fire just a little bit ago, and so we'll see what this does over time. All right, guys. Well, it's been about an hour, and we're sitting at about 275 here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to open her up and take a peek, but as you can tell, our smoke is coming out great, right? So this type of smoke, the clearish, bluish type smoke, is the smoke that you want to actually cook on. We're not cooking today, we're just actually doing the burn. But what's nice is we're getting a really nice smoke. So I'm gonna do a few things. I'm gonna go ahead and open this thing up so you guys can see where the smoke and how the smoke's going. I'm gonna open up the fire chamber. I'm gonna go take temperature readings across the whole thing. We did keep one side that's not insulated. So we wanted to, and that's in the back of the smoker, we wanted to see what the uninsulated temperature would be, or non-insulated temperature. So let's go take a peek. Okay, so let's go ahead, let's open up the fire chamber first. So, if you want to come and take a nice little close-up of this guy, our coals are burning really, really good. We're super hot in here. So I'm just gonna check the wall temperature on the back of this. So we are at 245 degrees, or 240 degrees, somewhere around that, okay? That's on the 304 stainless. Now I'm gonna check the outer temperature of this little guy. We are at 108 degrees. So, insulation is working. I could touch it and I'm not getting burned. I don't think I'd want to lay on it unless it was the wintertime, but let's see where we're going. So our fire temperature inside our box right now, well, we are past max, so we must be pretty darn hot in there. Okay, so let's go check the walls on the inside. 625 degrees. So we're hot in here, which is good. Our ball valve is working great. As soon as I opened up the door, you could tell I went up to a temperature of 300 degrees. So, more oxygen to the fire, the hotter the fire is going to burn, the higher your temperature is going to go. Now, we're obviously burning hot on this on purpose. Okay? So, let's take a look at how the smoke is working. So, well, this is kind of what we like to see. We like to see about this color smoke, and the smoke is redirecting. Now, obviously, we talked about the gaskets. We're going to have to go and work on these gaskets. I didn't like them to begin with. But outside of the gaskets, this is working out really, really nice. We're getting a really good smoke. It's a nice, even smoke that's coming down onto the racks. So I'm real happy with this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw a little bit more wood here in the firebox. All right, so now let's take our temperature readings. So, again, looking at the door, we're at about 110 degrees. So, nice. Side, even nicer. I'm at 99 degrees. Side, even cooler, 88 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and check the back. Back we're a little warmer. We're at 124 degrees. Now I'm gonna check the bottom. We are at 88 degrees. So that's the coolest spot in the whole thing. Let's go check the smoke chamber now. Smoke chamber door. 108 degrees. We are 129 degrees on the right side. The left side, we are 110 degrees. So it must be the sun coming down on this back side. Now, we did not insulate the back of the smoking chamber up on top. So let's see. Yeah, we're hot. We're 225. So, and we have layers after layers of metal in there. So it's not direct metal from where the heat's coming into. And as you can tell, we're already at 225 degrees. So, you know, we're gonna insulate the back of the next one. We're just doing this as a test. And then the top because of the expansion chamber, it's not gonna be like 100% insulated, even on the final version, but we're at 171 degrees. So the top, you know, we're a little warm, but not too crazy, right? The sides, not that crazy at all, but I gotta tell you, this is not hot at all on the firebox. So, a question, should I take it to 3 inches of insulation on the walls on the smoking chamber, just like I do with the firebox? As you can tell, I got a good 10-15 degree difference in heat from there. So let's look, we're at about 280 degrees right now. I mean, we have our ball valve fully open on this. So let's look at temperature readings inside the smoker. I'm gonna take a temperature reading on this top rack. We're at 342 degrees. And I'm just gonna go rack by rack. 305 degrees. 283 degrees. 254 degrees. 216 degrees. In the bottom rack, 169 degrees. This is a very large temperature dispersion here. So when you really start to look at it, your optimal, like your largest pieces of meat and everything, you're gonna wanna cook towards the top of this rack. You're gonna wanna go ahead and cook your smaller pieces on the bottom, or you're gonna wanna rotate, you know, the pieces. Because in any vertical smoker, I don't care what vertical smoker you're gonna have, you know, unless you have some sort of power air, you know, type of convection system going in, you're gonna have a heat distribution across it. We have a lot of surface area in the inside, a lot of volume to heat. So obviously, because the smoke is coming out on the top, you know, if we look at that back area, our smoke is coming out right now at 393 degrees. So, and we know we're purposely cooking hot. I mean, we know that we're not trying to cook at smoking temperature, you know, but it's doing what we want it to do. We know we're going to be hotter on top, we're going to be lower on the bottom. So the other thing we thought about was, you know, adding 2 temperature gauges, one a little bit higher, maybe one a little bit lower, so that you could see the temperature distribution. But we will look at putting a graph together so that you know, based on the temperature that you have on your middle thermometer, you know, where you are going up and down on the racks, so that you'll have a you know, plus and minus kind of a degree on this rack. So we can easily put that together to help you guys on your cook. But I certainly recommend, especially when you're looking at cooking low and slow, to do something like a Guru or some other type of thermometer system that could also help adjust your airflow. If you could have that on a nice long 20-hour smoke, especially if you're doing your big cuts in the middle of the night, it's going to keep you from having to go and check on this thing. Whatever you use, a Guru will turn itself on and off to try to maintain that temperature, but it also has a cabinet sensor, and that cabinet sensor will be able to tell you your temperature and wherever you're putting that probe on the inside. Another enhancement we're looking to make on this guy is putting some probe holes or plugs that you could literally go in and drop your probes from the top on the inside, so you're not running it through the door. We didn't do it this time just because we wanted to see how it would really operate without it, but I think that would be a great add, and then you could just stick your Guru or anything, I think most of them have magnetic backs, right on here. So this is all steel, so you'll be able to stick that right on here and be able to look at it and then not have a whole lot of probes. If you were coming through with probes, you probably want to come on this side of the cabinet right close to the hinge. That way when you open and close the cabinet door, all your probes and your cables aren't going to be flopping around on the inside. So she's doing exactly what we thought she'd do, which is great on the first test burn. I should have brought some beer because I got this empty bottle opener here on the bottom. So, so let's see what she does. Let's give it a little more time, and let's check back on it. What we're going to do is adjust it. We're going to try to get this. Now that we did a really hot smoke, obviously you don't want to smoke at 300 degrees. You know that's really cooking. You know you're really barbecuing at that point. The goal of this is to really smoke meat. So we want to be able to get down below 250 in that range. So, you know, obviously looking at this Tell True thermometer, being between the 150 and 250 range is really a good optimal range for smoke. Let's check on it in a little bit. Okay guys, we are about 2.5 hours into our test burn. First off, I don't know if you can see it, but we have a beautiful, nice blue smoke coming out. This is exactly what we'd like to see from a smoker. Lots of smoke coming out. Remember those leaks that we had on the gasket? It's kind of mellowed out. We're not really seeing the gasket leak. Quite frankly, I'm seeing a little bit of convection, but not really a tremendous gasket leak here. But I don't like those tap hole gaskets, so we're definitely going to go look at replacing those. Our ball valve is completely open. Our tail true thermometer, we're showing at almost 375 degrees. So we're running hot right now, which is cool. Obviously, we don't want to ever smoke at this rate, but our goal isn't to try to look at the duration and try to keep a long and low smoke right now. Our goal right now is to have let this thing go and let this thing go as hot as we can go with it. So let's take some readings. Let's look at the reading on our front door. So a little warmer. We're at 122 degrees up on the front door. All right. Let's look at the front door on the fire box. Warmer. We're at 193 degrees. Now remember, we're burning hot right now. We're burning a lot hotter than we would normally burn. So the outer shell of this thing is going to be a lot hotter than it would typically do if we're on a smoke, right? So we are at 147 degrees, and that's on the smoke chamber. Now, we're warm, but we're not burning, okay? I can still touch it. Let's look on the bottom. We're bottom at 159 degrees. So let's look at the other side. We're at 172 degrees. And we're a little cooler up on the top, 166 degrees. So we're getting a temperature now. Since we're very high in temperature, again, we should be smoking at about 225, and so we are well 150 degrees higher than what we should normally be on this smoker. So we're about as hot in the outer shell as we want to be. But let's look at the back. The back of the bottom. Now this is insulated as well. We're at 260 degrees. So we're pretty hot back there. But now this is the non-insulated portion of it. We're at 278. So it's interesting. On the back. Now let's look at the top. We don't have a lot of insulation going on the top because that's where our expansion chamber is, but we're at 191. And then let's look at the base. So if you wanted to mount this thing into like an outdoor kitchen, or pick this up and put it in a pickup bed or whatever, I think it's important to understand where our temperature is on the bottom of it. 175 degrees, so we're not that bad. So at a very, very hot burn, we're still, temperature-wise, we're not crazy hot. Now, let's take a peek. Let's see where we're at in here. So, I'm gonna check the inner wall temperature. Yeah, we are so hot, we're kind of going above the temperature sequence. We're at 990 degrees on that wall, that inner wall temperature. So we're 990 degrees, and then we're about that 100 and something degrees up on the outer shell temperature on the back. I'm just gonna pick this 304 stainless on the front. Not that bad. I mean, we're 283 degrees on that. So the steel is heating up a hell of a lot more than the stainless as well on it. So fire's looking good. We're just gonna throw in some more wood. But boy, I could feel the heat coming off this fire, man. This is a hot fire. So we're just gonna throw a little bit of wood in there and close this thing up. Okay, so we are back here. Let's see how long we've been going. So we've been going for 3 hours now. We looked at the fire box. What we found is basically our 304 stainless door trim that's going around the doors. Because we're at such a high temperature, they were warping. And that's cool that we're running this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those door seals and hem them. And that'll keep basically the metal from warping, and we're going to add some more stainless steel rivets holding it in. But that prevented us from getting the, it was warping enough that it was hitting those tap hole gaskets and hurting us on getting the door closed. So, but a couple of screwdrivers later, and we were able to get that door closed nice and tight. We probably won't open it again until we're looking at the final piece of it. So, just looking at it from here, we, you know, after opening it all, this has been about 20 minutes. We went right back up to about 350 degrees. So, but what we know is working real well is the only airflow going into this is coming in from this 2-inch ball valve. So if we were to look at it from a lighter perspective, you could actually see that air being pulled and the flame being pulled right off of that, which is pretty cool. So air-wise, and as you know from, you know, barbecue smokers, having a single air inlet source and controlling the air coming in is going to control our temperature. So we know that this thing could get to almost 400 degrees. So we're never going to be smoking at 400 degrees. And when we're at close to 400 degrees, really our temperature gradient is much higher from the top to the bottom. So with that high heat, we know that we could dial this ball valve down to get our temperature to come back down. Goal for today is to go extremely high heat. We want to see if there's anything else that's going to break. So let's look at our smoke chamber real quick, and let's take some temperature readings on the inside of the cabinet. So we're sitting at shy under 350 degrees. This is our smoke chamber. We got a nice clean smoke coming through the cabinet. So let's see where we're at on the top rack. The top rack, we're at 382 degrees. So plus 30 plus degrees from where this pin position is. Second rack down, we are at 248 degrees. So we're about at temperature. So I'm assuming that we're going to be almost at the same on this third rack. Third rack, we're a little bit lower at 327. So we're right about there. And now we should see our temperature go down a little bit. So we are at 323, so still pretty good. This is the second to last rack. We're at 326. And on the lower rack, we're sitting at 236. I'm going to take that again because that seems like a big jump. No? 247. So it seems like from here to here, we jump a lot lower on this lower rack, but over here we're kind of, you know, we're a little bit obviously much hotter up here, you know, but then we're about at that temperature on these middle racks, and then we drop pretty good on the lower rack. So it's pretty cool to see. Now running at the inside where it's coming out, the smoke is coming out, I'm coming out at about 400 degrees. So I'm coming out at 400 degrees and then I'm dispersing back down. None of these the stainless steel door sills that we have, none of these door sills are warping very bad at that temperature. On the bottom, we were sitting at about 1,000 degrees. And 1,000 degrees, they were warping pretty good. So hemming it, I think it's going to work, and we'll hem all the door sills on the top as well. But I'm not seeing any distortion. I'm not really seeing any issues inside the smoke cabinet, or quite frankly inside the fire cabinet at all either. So this has turned out pretty good. I know my temperature around the cabinets are pretty hot, but that's kind of where we want to go. So at some point, we're going to video our recovery temperature from when you open up the door, how long it takes to recover from a temperature perspective. But already you can see, you know, I'm climbing now. But I dropped to, you know, about 235, and now I'm going to be climbing back up, you know, as the heat starts to come back up. My ball valve is again on the complete open position, and so we're going to let this thing ride. We are in the hottest open position as we can, and I want to see how long we're going to be able to stay at a very high temperature for this smoker. Obviously, if we put it in a much lower temperature, we're going to burn a lot less fuel, which means our duration of burn is going to be a lot longer. My goal is 24 hours to stay on a consistent smoking burn with it without having to refill fuel. And looking at these results, I'm getting confident that we're going to be able to meet those timelines with it. So, and we can always put more fuel if we have to, but a 24-hour long smoke and a long burn on a 20-pound bag of charcoal, which costs about $10, that's not bad. So let's see where we're at in a couple of hours. All right, thanks. Hi guys, well, it's been a little over 6 hours. We are full throttle on this. So just to let you know from a temperature perspective, we've been hovering and we've been pretty much consistent at about 350. About 15 minutes ago, the temperature started dropping a little bit. So 20 pounds of charcoal, fully open, full throttle on air. We haven't been opening it up a whole lot over the last 2 hours or so. And now we're sitting at about 325 in the chamber. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep this thing high, see how long we last on 20 pounds of charcoal, fully open. Obviously, you would never want to smoke at 350, but you know, this will just give us a benchmark as far as, you know, how long we could run the burn fully open and what temperatures we would hit. We never quite hit 400 degrees. I think the highest we got was about 375. So inside we were definitely at 400 and around, but never really exceeded 400 degrees inside the chamber itself, you know, like, you know, here in the middle of the chamber, the real cooking part of the chamber. And so when we do our next video, when we're actually doing a test cook, we're going to be keeping ourselves at smoke temperature. We'll probably put ourselves in a snake pattern on the charcoal. We'll see how long we'll be able to last from that perspective. So we're going to load this thing up with a ton of meat and then just do a nice 225 consistent, and then we'll see how long we can hold 225 on this. So all's good. We'll see in another hour or so where we are temperature wise, but it looks like we're starting to come down a little bit, and then we'll see how long we're lasting with it fully open. All right, thanks. Okay guys, this is Richard from Pivot, and this is our final segment on this video, the T-Rex smoker and our test burn. So it is now 8 hours since we started our test burn. Well, fully open. You know, we lit up our whole coal basket. We started with 20 pounds of charcoal. Haven't put any additional fuel in it. And we're at the 8 hour mark and we are sitting at 275 still. So temperature is decreasing. It's decreasing kind of slowly, you know, but it's getting late here in Georgia, so we're going to call it a night. We've achieved what we wanted to on the test burn. We know a few changes we would like to make to the smoker, but on the whole, it worked out great for our first test burn. So the next video we're going to do is our test cook. So check us out, and please remember to hit the subscribe button if you like the video. Please give us any comments that you have. If you have anything that you'd like to see with the smoker, we'd love to hear from you. All right, take care.